Hey guys, it's 258. Welcome back to Your Family and You. Now, this chapter sort of like was the chapter that made me like just quit the whole story. So I'm not sure if that's gonna happen again because I think I quit halfway through it because I was like so done with it. Like I just don't like this scenario we're in at the moment, you know? Because I know some BS is gonna happen, and then what I expect to happen is, oh, Twilight's gonna tell Celestia something important as Max, but then, you know, she thought she told Max and all that nonsense. I'm hopefully they clear that up because Luna wouldn't know unless Luna wants to play around with it because, you know, she's a goofball sometimes. Anyways, this is part 2 of Two Walks, Two Moons. Let's hop right into it. For a long moment, silence filled the hall as we both stared wide-eyed at each other. A small part of my mind dimly noted just how weird it was to see my own body moving on its own without me being in it. It felt off. The scar on my face crossed in a different direction and went to the opposite eye than it did when I looked at my reflection in the mirror. Everything about me looked reversed, and the sight was jarring. The main part of my mind didn't really care about these little thighs, though. It was too busy letting out a high-pitched scream while banging its fist against the inside of my skull. We remained still for a few more seconds before suddenly moving at the same time. "What did you do?" I, she, he, me, Celestia shouted. "What do you mean, what did I do?" I yelped. A pair of wings I couldn't control flaring up by my sides. "What did you do? What kind of spell was that to be casting while you were just walking around, oblivious to the world?" "What?" Celestia Max said as she struggled to sit up. She seemed to be having trouble staying upright. I ended up sitting in a weird cross-legged fashion with my hands braced on the floor like a pair of forelegs. "Oh no, this is not my fault. It was a simple transcribing spell, making it nothing more. Its only function is to put my thoughts down onto paper so I can go over them again at a later time." "Yeah, well, apparently you fucked it up." I tried to adjust myself into a more comfortable position, but just ended up feeling like I was sitting like a dog. Damn, I forgot how uncomfortable it was being a pony. "Magic isn't easy to use, okay?" He snapped. "There's a reason why it takes years of practice to use even some basic spells. If you don't know how the magic formulas work and don't follow the steps perfectly, it has very drastic, very unexpected outcomes." Struggling to my feet, she had to brace herself against a support pillar to keep herself upright. "Why do you think not every pony can do the same level of magic as the battle mages? Because they aren't mentally conditioned or prepared to do so. There's a reason we start teaching unicorns foals so young." I should probably say like the slash thing because it's like, you know, weird perspective here. I think we're in Max's view, so like when Celestia Max, you know. I'm sorry about that. I think that's what I'm thinking about right now. She took a few tentative steps away from the wall, and after a moment of wobbling, seemed to be able to keep her feet. In fact, she seemed to be getting a handle on being a pipe paddle faster than I was remembering how to be a quadruped. "Fuck," I grunted as I tried to maneuver my 4 hooves underneath me. Not only were my legs longer than they were last time, but now I had a pair of wings that were making balancing a nightmare. They opened and closed sporadically whenever my back muscles twitched. "Fix this," I snapped at her after I collapsed back onto the floor for the 3rd time. "Weren't you listening?" She huffed, crossing her arms over her chest. "Okay, this was getting difficult to keep straight. For one thing, we can't just fix this. I have no idea how this," she pointed between us with a closed fist, "even happened. We need to find the proper spell, or else we'd risk making this worse." "Worse than it already is? Have you ever seen a pony teleport into a wall?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "It's not pretty. We can't just go about casting spells at random, hoping for the best. And for another thing, in case you haven't completely processed our situation yet," she waved a closed fist about in front of her face, "I don't exactly have my horn anymore." I froze, my eyes going cross-eyed as I tried in vain to look up at the horn now jutting out of my forehead. I don't know how to use magic. Are you telling me we're stuck like this until I learn? That's gonna take ages." "No, most certainly not," Maxia said as she wobbled over to me, slipping an arm under my barrel. She helped me to my hooves. "This is not permanent. We just need to. She trotted off and an unsure look crossing her face. "We need help," I said. "Twilight or Luna even." "No," she shouted sharply, causing me to jump and nearly collapse again. "No, we cannot tell any pony about this mishap." "Why not?" "Do you have any idea the field day the press would have if they found out about this?" she asked as she began to pace. Reaching up to rub her chin, she flinched upon coming in contact with my beard, making a disgusted face. She turned about to face me again, and that's not to mention, no. The fewer ponies that know that we switch bodies, the better. Yeah, then why not your sister, who basically has the same sort of magic as you, except for a 1,000-year gap, and Twilight, who's basically a top pupil in magic, as she is the element of magic. Like, can we not? Why not talk to them about it? Like, what? At least these two. I shook my head. "I have no idea how we're gonna keep this quiet. If you can't use magic, and I don't know How to? We're gonna need a third party eventually. Yes, we are, she agreed. We'll include Lulu in this when we find the proper spell. Until then, we just act like nothing happened. We can work this out. It just looks worse than it actually is. We just need to find the spell to reverse this mix-up and we'll be fine. A thoughtful look crossed her face. It shouldn't be too hard to find either. The archives would be a good place to start. There's a section just for spells. As long as we stick together, we should be able to. Both of us froze as a shout came from down the hall. Ah, there you are. We were looking for you. Luna trotted down the hall, accompanied by a swaying Primrose who had a dopey smile on her face. A thin trail of smoke was still coming from the corners of her mouth, and her eyes were bloodshot. She giggled as she bumped unsteadily into Luna's flanks. We're beginning to become worried over your absence, Luna said as the pair reached us. Glancing at Max, Tia, she smirked. We half expected you to be in trouble somewhere, although you can blame us given your track record. Can you blame us given your track record? Okay, that's all she was supposed to say. Huh? He glanced over at me. Thanks? There he is, Primrose giggled. We've been looking for something, she paused. A blank look crossing her face and her eyes dimming, only for her to perk up upon looking at Princess. Max again. There he is. Is she okay? I asked, and my ear twitched at the unfamiliarity of my voice. Luna nodded. Of course, dear sister. Although she looked down at the swaying butt pony, the heaters might have given her a bit too much of her medication. They did assure us, however, that should mellow out in a few hours. Bro. I don't know how Max feels about this. I feel like, other than that sounding up, I would just freak out and just I would pretty much yell at Celestia to not bother keeping this a secret. Like, shush. We need to fix this soon. Not eventually, soon. That would be my question. That would be my way of handling this. Like, not to keep it hidden. Just be honest about it. And then it will happen soon and then later, you know? Giggling, Primrose turned and began to stumble away from the group. But Luna unfurled a wing and pulled her back to her side. As you can see, though, Luna continued, until that time she's quite the hoofful. We nearly lost her over a balcony railing earlier. We recommend getting these two back to Twilight as soon as possible to both avoid potential injuries. And so they might rest. Lestia cleared her throat and gave me a pointed look, subtly nodded her head in Luna's direction. I floundered for a moment, mouth opening and closing, before choking out. Maybe that is to say, maybe we should allow them to stay the night. At Sunny Me's minute nodding, I continued. It's getting rather late, and I think it would be better if they stayed here until morning. Luna scratched her chin with the back of her hoof. You make a good point, sister. It is rather late for them to take a train, and it's rather dangerous to use chariots at night. We don't want either of them falling off in the dark. Lestia breathed a sigh of relief. Man, I don't like these nicknames for Max Celestia and Celestia Max. I don't know which way is correct. From Celestia is breathe a sigh of relief. That's Celestia breathing a sigh of relief as Max. I'm not sure how I feel about the little nicknames for their body swaps. Exactly, I said quickly. It would be better if they are. But fear not, dear friend, Luna said, thrusting a hoof into there. We have another solution. You do? Son, Brony, I asked at the same time, both of us bewildered. Indeed, we shall have you both home post-haste, wrapping a wing around Primrose. She moved her to stand right next to my Celestia-driven body, which currently had a worried look on her and my face. What are you doing, I asked. Getting you home, Luna chirped happily. Now do try and stand still, friend Max, and do be warned, teleportation can make one feel queasy afterward. Teleportation? Max Celestia looked confused for a moment before my eyes widened as Luna's horn lit up. Wait, Luna, no! I darted out a hand to stop the spell, but it was too late. In a flash of dark blue magic, both Primrose and my human body disappeared, and I was left alone with Luna. The magic around her horn faded, and she turned to smile at me. They have been returned home to Ponyville. Young Twilight might be surprised at their sudden arrival, but we think she shall like having her mate back for the night. Dying hard on the inside of my cheek, almost to the point where I could taste copper, I stared at her. After a moment, her smile faltered. Tia, she asked, is something the matter? Finally easing up on the flesh inside my mouth, I sighed heavily and shook my head. Moonbutt, why you gotta fuck me over like that? Oh, I love that. Alright. This is a different thing? Okay, there's a little cross section here. Are you finished yet? I asked deadpan when I received no reply. I rolled my eyes and shook my head. Are you gonna be alright? Do I need to get someone to get a healer? Again, no reply, and I said, looking down at my hooves, I grumbled, come on, it's not that funny. At my hooves, Luna continued to roll about on the floor. This had been going on for several minutes now. She had started off laughing loud enough to make my ears hurt, but now no sound escaped her save for a high-pitched wheeze. Tears streamed down her face as she tried to get a much-needed lungful of air. Sucking on my lip, I glared down at her. Come on, Moonbutt, this is getting ridiculous. She waved her forelegs at me and silently shook her head, unable to make any noise other than the wheezing gasp. Rolling onto her stomach, she tried to crawl away from me, but apparently didn't have the strength to do so. Instead, she just squirmed on the floor, her wings flapping against the marble. Oh, come on, it's not that funny. No, please stop. Luna finally managed to squeak out. No more. We're gonna pee. Clicking my teeth together, I growled out, Luna, I swear to God, if you don't get a hold of yourself, I'm going to fucking sit on your head and smother you. Luna paused long enough to glance at Celestia's thing, only for her to start dying again. That was until I suddenly flopped down upon her head hard. Alright, she cried out, her voice muffled under my weight. We yield. He's crushing us immediately. Staggering to my feet, her hooves with some difficulty, I huffed. About damn time. We apologized, Luna said as she stood as well. A few persistent giggles escaped her, but she was finally able to compose herself. We did not mean to make light of such a serious situation. She tried to keep a straight face for a moment, but cracks began to appear in her facade. Look, I said trying to cut off a pending giggle fit. Is there anything you can do to fix this at the moment? Nah, she said, shaking her head. And unfortunately, we won't be able to help tonight as we have Lunar Court, which shall take up most of our time. Great, I grumbled. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Luna smiled and shook her head. Relax, friend Max. We shall take you to Tia's sleeping quarters. You can stay there tonight, sleep, and we shall begin searching for a solution to this in the morning. She paused, a thoughtful look crossing her muzzle. That is, unless your mate figures out the proper spell before us, but that would require Tia telling her what has happened. I thought that was gonna happen. I grumbled when Luna gave me a confused look. I explained she didn't want anyone finding out. Something about the backlash. She wasn't even going to tell you until we had the spell to reverse this. So I highly doubt she's going to tell Twilight what's happened. In fact, she's probably going to try and pretend she's me until we sort this out. There came a smirk from Luna's direction, and when I looked over at her, I saw her batting down her lip, her chest twitching up, spasming. I glared at her before sighing, just taking me to Celestia's room. Not trusting herself to speak, Luna motioned with a wing for me to follow her. It wasn't long before we were standing outside of Celestia's bedroom, which was good as I was still rusty when it came to walking like a pony. I'm pretty sure the sight of her sister's body swaying and staggering down the hall behind her like a newborn did nothing to help Luna's composure, but somehow managed to get us there without breaking down into laughter again. Letting up her horn, she pushed the door open a crack for me. Here we are, and this is where we shall leave you. Sleep well, friend Max, and we shall figure this out first thing in the morning. If you need anything, do not hesitate to call on one of the maids. Thanks, a mumbled near flapping against my head. I watched her head off down the hall before turning my gaze back to the door. I hesitated for a moment before letting out a long, drawn-out sigh. Pushing the door open further with my head, I sipped and said and closed it behind me. The end. Oh my god. Okay, so I finished this one. Actually, it wasn't that bad. Okay, everything from here on out is brand new to me, so hopefully that's gonna keep me more intrigued than before. Oh my god, but I am expecting Twilight or Celestia Max to, not say anything until Luna and Max Celestia show up. This is getting confusing already, man. This is getting confusing. I'm betting Celestia's not going to do anything and try to act like Max, but I feel like Twilight would know what's up, or his guards would know what's up, and then Celestia's going to have to come clean with it. Hopefully, because I don't want that to be dragged out, I don't want Celestia to drag out her trying to pretend to be Max, because yes, there might be backlash, but at the same time, you are with friends who have kept the secret that Max has been intelligent for a while now, until Max himself, talked, and, the whole town now knows. So it's kind of interesting to see that. I wonder if somebody like Vino and Octavia would interrupt Celestia's pretending, and just drag him to do Max things with them. That's kind of interesting to see. It's kind of interesting to think about, but I don't really want that to happen. I really want to get this over with, right? But knowing that this chapter is called 2 Walks, 2 Moons, and there's 9 to 10 parts for this, we're gonna be stuck as this body swap double for a while now, so that's gonna suck for me. Anyways, guys, I might have No Game No Life after this uploaded because I really, like I said, I really want to move into that direction a little bit. So we're gonna finish the story. Maybe keep up to date with it if it gets updated ever again. And then full on light novel. And then that's it. Anyways, guys, if you guys are watching, listening to it, you guys do. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
Now we're teaching out fate, well the dice at size of a snake. 2v1, she's a winner, now we're race. Flip a coin, I'm the one that you will face. Where you're high up on your sleeve, well I only wear a crown in the place. But you think I'm trying to bluff, like I got a pocket ace. Human lies matter, but I wager my entire race.
You think you got the upper hand, we became the victors. Put this country on the map like it was our sister.
Shiro sees the future.